So right now we're building a small tent around the KEEL, and the idea is to put 2 oil heaters inside and raise the temperature. And it's not going to be huge difference, but it might be about 18, 19, maybe 20 degrees inside. That will help us to dry the KEEL. And also Rob is so kind, and he said he will switch those heaters every time when he is in the shed.
And when we are not here.
And when we are not here.
To keep our KEEL warm, isn't it?
Exactly. So, yeah. We also had really nice conversation with Rob today. He said we might exaggerate with the problem with the KEEL. And
because it's looking pretty good, actually.
He's saying it's looking pretty good.
I think we just panicked at first when we saw that there's a little bit moisture.
Yeah.
He said that he would be probably worrying, perhaps if we made a hole and then there would be liters and liters of water pouring out, but that wasn't the case. It was barely anything coming out, few drops, and we panicked. So since then we've been trying the KEEL, and now I think, what is it, 2-3 weeks later now? Yeah. Isn't it? And there's no more water coming out, so Ziggy just sealed those holes from the sump tank to the ballast, and we're just going to carry on drying the KEEL. The thing with the rudder is also a little bit damp. Ziggy has drilled several holes inside. Do I?
No.
Oh no. We're gonna keep it in a tent where it's warm, and that will speed up the process of it drying. We don't want to go through the extensive process of opening it up and fixing it. I think drying it out will do it. All we need is a 2-seater in there, and we are ready to move in. Yeah, you can already tell there is a difference in temperature here. It's a bit warmer, isn't it? Only about half an hour we had it enclosed, and it's much nicer. So please dry, quick. It's nice and cozy here. The temperature has already gone up. Upstairs we had this upstairs, and it was 14 degrees, and the humidity was 92, and now the humidity is showing 74 almost. Temperature 20 degrees Celsius. It's warmer than in our cabin. No joke. Proper door. We have finally reached a point where we can close the lower opening on the port side of the sump tank. We want to achieve a snug fitting, so we do last bits of sanding and surface preparation. We will be using a backing plate, which I already made a few weeks ago. The backing plate should be made at least the diameter and a bit more of the repair area. I'm making the backing plates on the surface of a plywood. In order to release the backing plate after it's cured, you need to apply wax to the surface you're laminating your backing plate onto. Prime the surface with mix of epoxy resin and hardener. Place the glass mat and wet it out with the resin until it's transparent. I use several layers here to make the plate a little thicker. Wait 24 hours for it to cure. I made them a bit bigger just to be on the safe side. So now we have to cut it to size required for the repair area. We first try it on without the epoxy resin to make sure it's a perfect fit. Well, this probably looks familiar. That's right. I used the exact same method in the last episode when repairing the openings from instruments in the cockpit area. This repair is called a letterbox repair. It just looks like the time before humans invented any tools. How satisfied are you from a scale of satisfied, very satisfied, or extremely satisfied?
I didn't finish yet, so it's difficult to say.
Too early to say. Too soon.
At this point, I'm just happy I'm closing the square one.
Yeah. You've got it nice and warm in here.
So it's closed inside now. And
yep.
You can see there is a quite rough edge in there. And I have to sand it so it's more smooth like here. I'll have to fill those holes and then lay first layer of glass mat.
What are you marking now?
The area which I'm going to grind and make a bevel around. Then we put new fiberglass in here, few layers, so make this one nice and smooth and flat with the existing part of the keel. And that's just the first step. The second step is just to feel everything from inside as well. Then when I have everything nicely done here on the other side, inside, and I'm happy with everything, then we just lay huge...
We'll wrap the keel around?
Yes, basically we'll wrap the keel around with new fiberglass. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 new layers.
All around here?
Yep.
Over there. Okay.
An external part, so...
Bulletproof keel. Looking good. First layers of mat go on the inside of that repair. Let's have a peek inside. While this is drying, Ziggy moves on to making that bevel around. We're almost done for today, but just before we go to bed, we want to lay a couple of layers here on this repair, and also one layer here because it's still got like a, what is it called? A dimple? A dimple, let's call it.
And that's it for today.
I think we can safely say that we are seeing some improvement on the keel issue, as we've taken some steps to obviously make it better. We mentioned we couldn't be here every day to dry the keel ourselves, so put the heaters on physically and sort of dry it from the outside, but we have asked for help, and someone was so kind to offer to put the heating on every day while they were working in the same shed. So yeah, every day the heating was on, and the keel and the the whole hole has been drying nicely. Also, we have consulted sort of very smart people out there, and one of them was an oyster technician, and he told us that before panicking and assuming the worst, to do test visual checks, and one of them was tapping the keel with a hammer in various places and listening for a different sound. So if there was a hollow sound, that probably is the lamination. So the laminate would have probably separated from the ballast. But we've done that and it sounds perfect. Everywhere is the same, apart from obviously around the sump tank, where you can hear the difference, and obviously because it's a hollow space. Also a visual inspection, such as checking whether the keel has actually sort of expanded, because if there was an extensive rust within, it would expand the laminate. And that's not the case either. The keel looks perfect from the outside as well. We were told to repair all the areas where the water could have got in, and that was the bottom part, which we've told you that we've been repairing. So that's done. I mean, obviously it's not getting any worse. Another thing we could have done, but that would be obviously if we, after those basic visual tests, if we suspected that there is an issue inside, we would have to call a surveyor, and there is a test that can be carried out to check if there is delamination within the keel, and that's called ultrasonic testing. We did contact a surveyor, but just to check, I suppose, whether it's worth doing that sort of test. The price for an initial visual inspection, which we've already carried out ourselves, would be £1,000 plus VAT, and day 2 would be ultrasonic test, which is another £1,000 plus VAT. So we quickly got over that idea, and we thought it's an overkill, basically. We knew there is a device that we could purchase ourselves to check the moisture within the laminate. It's called the moisture meter. It's not a cheap device, but we managed to actually borrow one of those moisture meters. Now that's the device I'm talking about. This is by a brand called Chamex. There are different ones out there. But silly us, we were thinking that we can inspect the keel with it, and we can't. And I'll tell you why. The moisture meter doesn't know the difference between a laminate that's wet and a laminate that's got metal inside. So anything, if the moisture meter detects metal behind it, the reading is going to show you that it's completely wet. That's the ballast. So obviously it's not good for the keel where you've got iron ballast. Now we know that. One thing I learned about these moisture meters, well, they were not designed for marine industry. Initially they were designed for wood, concrete, so they were sort of modified to work on the GRP boats, and that's one of their limitations already, because the scale that's shown here for GRP, it's only a comparative scale, so it has to be extrapolated from the actual one, and that's already sort of, well, a limitation of these devices. Also, what I learned is that you're supposed to take a reading above the waterline, so from the top sides, in several places to sort of get a base reading. Then you can compare whatever reading you take below the waterline, yeah, you can compare it to the one you took above waterline. Also, the reading might not be accurate due to some additives in the laminate or to the bottom coatings. So let's say you've got copper coat, or you've got some graphite powder, or barrier coat. It's going to increase their reading, so it's going to show you that it's actually, there's more moisture than it actually is. So it's recommended that you take a reading of a bare gel coat, so you should strip any bottom paint. So different meters can read deeper into the laminate than others, so that depends by a brand and how they are set up. And obviously a hole can be thicker in one place and thinner in another. So a lot of moisture deep into the laminate can show you exactly the same reading as a very small amount of moisture very close to the surface. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get this device. It's quite expensive for what it is. They cannot tell you how sound is your laminate. They can be used only as a guideline, I suppose. They can give you some clues. I do wonder what you guys think about this. If you have this meter, if you've been using it over the years, do you think it's any good? Are they actually worth the money?
It's about 4 weeks now, where we're coming here only on the weekends and we're dealing with that KEEL. But the thing is, when we discover the problem, I was really worried. It was looking like it's going to be something really difficult to fix it, especially for me and Nat, because we don't have much experience around the boats. And right now I think we reached that point when I feel confident about what we're doing in here and where this is going. And I think the most difficult part is behind us. It's just behind us. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy, I'm glad. So right now we're coming back on track and we can start again dealing with the top sides of the hull. And yeah, and this doesn't look anymore that scary.
It is definitely a blessing in disguise.
Yeah,
I'm glad this happened and led us to this point. And
yeah, it's better to do it now than in the future, you know, especially where we are trying to do everything around the hull and we don't really want to, in the next few years or 2 years or a year later, pull her out from the water and start dealing with everything again. So
that's the time to do it.
So yeah, I was blessing to, you know, we find that one, and in the next few weeks it might be done. So let's see what the next few weeks will bring.
It feels so good to be back to where we were before the day we decided to open up that sump tank. Continuing with the topsides repairs means that soon enough we will be applying primer to starboard side as well. And just like that, the weekend draws to an end. If you like our videos, we would really appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to our channel. It really helps us grow here on YouTube and motivates us to create more content. See you next week!